Okay, so we're going to have a bit of fun for the end of the day. As Jim mentioned, we've done a few of these Shark Tanks before. Now we are unfortunately down to 3 startups. So fortunately for the startups pitching today, that gives them each an extra minute. So we're usually pretty brutal with the time. I'm just going to go through a couple of slides just to set some context in terms of why we've got corporates and startups coming here and collaborating. So firstly, just a little bit about venture tech. We're an innovation and venture firm. We've worked with some awesome organisations that are really looking to innovate and change the ways that they work. But some of the work that we're really proud of, the photo in the background, we do a lot of work with social enterprises and also supporting student entrepreneurship through UCID, UTS and UNSW, and one of the things that we've got here today has got some strong ties back to UNSW as well. So we're really proud of that work. We get a lot of corporates coming and working with us in helping the social enterprises and the student entrepreneurs. So if you're interested in that at all, personally as a mentor or anything like that, please reach out to me on that. So a lot of the times we talk about sort of going out to corporates and helping them innovate like startups, but also invest like a venture capitalist. And that mindset is really important. So I thought I'd spend a few moments just talking about that. Firstly, innovating like a startup, being able to really look at searching and learning, really engaging with customers and really trying to solve problems that there's a real business opportunity to solve, and trying to lift some of those constraints that you have within your organizations. The speed and the adaptability of startups, I think a lot of us would want to inject that within our own organizations, but also the mindset of venture capitalists and being able to invest in a portfolio of innovation, being able to invest in milestones and being able to kill off ideas or kill off startups or projects that don't deliver value or don't have potential. And again, looking at your own portfolios of projects, a lot of organizations are trying to build that mindset in. So just to define a couple of terms, I take this from Steve Blank, who's out of Stanford. He wrote a book called The Startup Owner's Manual. He says a corporate is a permanent organization designed to execute on your own business model. You guys are really good at executing, optimizing on your existing business models, whereas a startup is really designed to go out and search and learn and find a repeatable and scalable business model. A startup isn't trying to be a startup for life, it's a phase. And I think once you've found product market fit, once you've found a repeatable and scalable business model, then it's time to sort of switch from being a startup, being in startup mode, and scaling to be a large organization. I know these guys here today are looking to find that product market fit and to start scaling. So we've got this balance that we're trying to find of execute, optimize versus search and learn. And it's not an easy thing for a large corporate to do, but some corporates are really doing it quite well. And here's a great example. So earlier this morning, the McKinsey presentation spoke about GE and what they're doing in terms of being a digital company, an industrial internet company. This is GE's Global Software Center of Excellence. We had the privilege to go out there and do some workshops around rapid experimentation, bringing lean startup methods into GE. And so they're trying to combine the speed and agility of startup with all the resources of GE. And I think a lot of the organizations here, you'd like to just swap out GE with your own organizations. Speed and agility of a startup with all the scale and resources of your own organizations. And the way they do that is combining, and similar to the presentation from CBA, combining a number of methodologies: design thinking, human-centered design, lean startup methodology, and of course, agile. So why are you here to think about startups, and why would you want to collaborate with startups when a lot of times a lot of the press are talking about startups are disrupting you, startups are going to kill your industries. So are startups the enemies, or are they potential partners for you? And definitely we think that you guys should be collaborating with startups. There's a lot of opportunity there. And here are some ways that you can do that. So a number of organizations have got corporate venture capital funds. Now that typically doesn't sit within the CIO's remit. However, some organisations, and Westpac's probably notable here, are making direct investments from the IT department into startups. Of course, startup accelerators are becoming quite commonplace now. Acquiring innovation and really looking at strategic acquisitions and acqui-hires, acquiring startups for not just their technology and their IP and their businesses, but also for the startup talent. And GE are a good example of that. The 1,500 software engineers that they've got out in San Ramon at their global software centre, a lot of those engineers actually came out of startup acquisitions because GE just couldn't recruit enough software developers, enough startup talent. They wanted to inject that into their organisations. And of course, co-developing with startups, accelerators, hackathons, innovation challenges, running pilots, and being first customers for startups. So if any of that is of interest to you, please reach out. And now I'm going to invite our Shark Tank judges up on stage. I'll get them to introduce themselves when they come up, and then we'll jump into some startup pitches. So besides just an intro about who you are and what you do in the organisation you're from, one of the things that we wanted to just know is, if you're already collaborating with startups, if you've got some kind of innovation program, if you can just spend a couple of moments talking about that. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks. Anne Larkins, Executive Director of Information Development at Alfred Health. So we're a large Victorian health service, 3 sites, but massive trauma centre. And we do a lot of state services. We are hell-bent on innovation. It's been done in a shadow kind of way for a long time, but we're trying to mainstream it. And a bit like what the comment was made before about pulling people from lots of different areas together to innovate, we have a top 100 day once every 6 months, and we bring people around the tables like these and mix them all up from all areas of the business, and money is on offer for the most innovative ideas, and those who sort of win the prize get to go on and do a very small pilot with a small corpus of funds, and we've had some amazing results by doing that. Solved some really difficult problems that we didn't think we could solve just by pulling a whole lot of different people together. So we want to expand that and have an innovations hub and sort of work with some startups. So we're keen to explore all of that as well.
Very nice. I'll pass the parcel down. We're obviously a brutal group of sharks. There was 4 and there's already 3 before they've even presented. So it's going to be ferocious up here. My name's Rhys. I've been a technology entrepreneur and investor for 16 years. I've probably been involved in about 15 different companies over that period of time. Probably got about 6 businesses in various stages of development at the moment. 2 of which are represented here today, i.e. Digital, which is one of the sponsors today, and Foyer Live. We've got offices in Melbourne, Sydney and San Francisco. And through our core business revenue streams, we reinvest back in R&D and investment back into the startup community. So looking forward to it.
My name's Andrew Kaddatz, from GHD, not the hair people. I'm not a good advertisement. We're professional services. It's a global company. I'm responsible for the Australian region. Innovation in my world is a daily exercise through necessity. We provide a lot of services to various clients. We partner with different organisations to provide design consultancy services, and they all look different. So infrastructure requirements change, licensing requirements change. Everything can change from day to day, potentially depending on lots of variables such as locations in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of nowhere. At the moment we're grappling trying to get infrastructure services into a site in the middle of Western Australia with a sand dune in the way of line of sight. So it's exciting, and the team are constantly challenged by it, and hence I think given those constant challenges, we do not have a high turnover of our core IS team. So they are rewarded by their own enthusiasm somewhat. So yeah, it's good.
My name is Beau. I'm the General Manager of People and Technology at Queensland Airports. We own and operate 4 airports in Queensland. I've got a new portfolio that's I'm going to start in about a month's time, which is innovation. So part of it is to create that framework for innovation. I do a lot with universities, so looking at innovation incubators within the university space and also in the Indigenous communities. So part of that is looking at our ecosystems and using innovation to change the way we do business.
Okay, so we'll invite the first startup up, which is Ingenious AI, who have flown up here from Melbourne. So 5-minute pitch.
Thanks, everyone. Where's the clicker? Thank you. Thanks. Oh, hello. Hear me? Yep, there we go. All right. So as we heard from Martin earlier, customer-first companies are going to be the ones that end up continually winning the business. So our aim is to try and make you a customer-first company. So I'm Mark from Ingenious AI, and we create engaging, informative, and useful chatbots using our own SaaS platform that is aimed at enterprise content creators, not developers. So what is a chatbot? Chatbots speak and understand natural language in a human-like manner. They do this via messaging platforms like Facebook Messenger, Skype, or Slack, or voice platforms like Amazon Alexa and Google Home. So why are chatbots becoming popular now? So, as we heard from Martin, change is accelerating faster and faster. So every 10 years there's been a generational shift in interfaces. In the early 90s, it was websites. The late 90s, it was websites. Mobile apps began almost 10 years ago. Now conversational interfaces are becoming mainstream. With every mobile device having a conversational interface, just think of Siri and Google Assistant. Even Gartner is predicting 30% of our interactions with technology will be conversational by 2018. But why is this? Put simply, there's no interface to learn, just start talking. But why are chatbots important? The messaging apps like Facebook Messenger have surpassed social media in terms of monthly active users, so it's where people are spending their time. 85% of consumers want to talk to businesses over these channels. So who has ever received an SMS from your doctor or your dentist to confirm an appointment? All you could do is confirm that you're going yes or no. You couldn't reschedule the appointment. But the technology is there today. It's quite simple and easy. 41% of millennials would be truly satisfied if they could communicate with businesses over these channels, and 46% of consumers want to learn about new products. Not more spam, but a two-way conversation with the products, just like a human salesperson would. And finally, Facebook has told us that 80% of messages sent to Facebook pages, I should say, are done through the Messenger app. They're not going to Facebook anymore to reach out to you. So they're already talking to you over these channels, even if you don't realise it. So what are the best use cases for chatbots? Customer service. Free your call centre staff from those frequently asked questions that drive them crazy. We typically see between 10 and 30% reduction in calls. Marketing. Engage your customers with helpful, informative, and entertaining conversational content that builds brand loyalty. Customer care. Help your customers get the most out of your products with personalised after-sales service. You can also push conversational messages, not just a message, a conversation, to allow a two-way interaction with your customers the same way that a human could. Just like a great customer service rep, personality is key. It always comes back to making it human. Understand your audience. Who are you talking to? How do they want to be spoken to? Understand your brand's voice. How do you want to speak to your customers? And the conversational tone that you want is different to how you normally. The conversational tone is different to how your brand's normal public voice. Creating a persona helps to ground the conversational. I'm getting myself confused now. Creating a persona helps ground the conversational design to give your chatbot a personality to engage with. Otherwise, it's just boring. And lastly, and most importantly, make it lovable. Just like a great speaker, unlike me, we are engaging. When they're more engaging, the more you listen. When you get it right, magic happens. So here's a marketing chatbot that we did with Sportsbet. There was zero marketing spend on this. This was just a fun little thing that they threw onto their social media page and shared it. 10,000 unique customers, 89% of the customers went to the end of the content, and 34% click-through rate. Now, for those that don't do marketing too much, a good email marketing campaign is 3 to 5%. We got 34% with zero spend. So our process is pretty simple. We find the challenges that your customers are having, we focus in on that design thinking, and then take that through to execution. We've had bots out in as little as a day to very quick experiments, and we've had production quality chatbots out in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. And we do that so quickly because we have our own chatbot platform. So, that's me and Ingenious AI. Thank you very much. Questions?
Over to you guys.
Great presentation, well done. Never easy, but and also not surprising that with something that's still relatively an emerging field for enterprise, that a fair bit of your presentation was spent on what I'd call kind of category building, as opposed to your secret sauce. I just wanted to give you an opportunity now we know what a chatbot is. What specifically you mentioned platform. Just 2 questions on that. Is it a workflow solution? I'm guessing it's one of the 2. Is it a workflow solution, or is there some specific sort of AI IP or specific IP behind that workflow solution?
Yep. So, great question. What we do with the platform, it's aimed at content creators. So just like, say, if you know MailChimp or your EDM type campaign managers, it makes it really simple and easy to build those emails and those campaigns and then manage them afterwards. So the same thing goes for our platform. It's about putting that content in there and helping build that decision tree, because at the end of the day, most conversations are just a decision tree, to build that out in a very simple and easy way. But we build a lot of things into the platform that enable you to very quickly and easy build to create that and to do it really well. So we educate you on what makes a great conversation. So we have conversational designers, which is a brand new skill set because it's not talking at you, it's a conversation, it's two-way. And it's a brand new skill that you need to learn. So we educate you on that, and we also enable a platform to do things like, make it really easy to host the images and all the other bits and pieces that you need to do to make that engaging content there. Unlike a lot of the other platforms that are mainly aimed at the developers. So if you want to do something like, hey, I want to check the weather, and if it's a fine day, then send this message. Our platform enables you to do that within the platform without having to build a third-party system just to answer that question. Cool.
So Sportsbet is your first customer?
One of.
One of. Have you got any other applications you can
quickly
quickly
sure.
talk us
So I'll
through?
rattle off one for you, for example. We're working with Monash Health on a colonoscopy bot. So out of all the things to do, now the gist of it is it's personalising health. Chatbots are great at personalising that experience. So you've got that one-to-one relationship with the patient, and from a colonoscopy point of view, it's a very private matter. They actually don't want to talk to a human. They would prefer to talk to a bot because it's that personal relationship. So, and that's all about taking that. If you don't drink or smoke and you're not a diabetic, then all of a sudden, like 60% of the steps are thrown out the door. So it personalises that experience for you. And there's a few others I can rattle off.
So creating that chatbot algorithm is a very step-by-step kind of process that you engage with the business to do.
Yeah, correct. So if you take your nursing staff or your call centre staff, all that type of stuff, all the processes are there. You've documented them. I just take them into a bot.
Excellent.
Cool.
Mark, great presentation.
Thank you.
We've been looking at chatbots for a while for customer service.
Yep.
2 questions. Where's the data stored and who owns that data?
Sure. Yep.
And the second question is cost.
Yeah, cool. So the cost question, it's going to come. Anyway, so who owns the data? You guys do, right? So we're not so much about keeping all of it. So you can have all your conversations, you own all your customers over whatever channel you want. That's pretty important to us. So like you do with your existing EDMs and all that type of stuff, all that imagery and that relationship you have with the customer, you own, because that's the important part. We're just about enabling you to do that quickly and easily and in an efficient way that you can quickly experiment and rapidly change as that you need to do to keep up with the pace of change. Secondly, on the cost, how long is a piece of string? So it goes from the very quick and easy ones at around the 10K and up, basically. So if you need just to integrate with a lot of your internal systems and things like that, like we've done with some other clients, then that really depends on how cloud ready you are and API enabled you are to do that quickly. Yeah.
So there are lots of other chatbots on the market, as you mentioned. What's your point of difference? Why you?
So the chatbots that are on the market today, they're either trying to suck in your existing data sets, so for example, your frequently asked questions or existing chat logs. What we find is that AI today in the machine learning, it's not that good. It takes a while. You need a lot of conversations to get there. So the example before around the dog photos, Google probably processed like 1 billion dog photos to get to the point that it could understand a dog. So you need that as well. So we've typically seen you need at least 1,000 conversations so that it sounds like a 3-year-old. Like that's the sort of the intelligence you're kind of getting at. So to try and get it to the point where it's on brand and going out there, you need a lot of conversations data to put that through. So we say, look, forget all that. You've already got the scripts. You teach your call centre staff, your front of house staff what to do, how to say it. Just take that, put it in, and get and aim for the 20%. Right, because that's where the quickest easy win is. You can do that, and we've done that within about a month's time frame to take 20% of your front end queries come in.
So is that the vision, to take it beyond and do machine learning on what you actually have over time?
Yeah, and that comes down to what are the questions your customers have. So for example, if they're going, what's the best credit card for me? Well, make a really kick-ass recommendation engine, right? And then I'll just feed the top end data to, and then you can return that. So it really depends on what the use case is.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
Cool. Thank you very much. Next one. So if you want to come talk, we'll be around having drinks.
All right. So next up, we've got Finextra. I'm sure I pronounced it wrong. Yes. I did, didn't I? You can correct me.
Yeah, we say Thingstra. So
Thingstra.
So there's a
Green button.
Oh, the green one. Okay. So if you heard about Telstra, which is about connecting telephones, Thingstra is about connecting things. So we say Thingstra, and things, Internet of Things. So I'm sure you've heard about the Internet of Things. It's a $3 trillion business. If we look into it more closely, 1995, internet, 1 billion users, 2005, 2 billion of smartphones, and for 2020, you should have 20 billion things connected. So a much bigger market. So we're going after that market. If we look into when you have mobile phones, you're mainly connecting through video, multimedia, but things is about connecting small things, and that's a big, big market. When I say small things, it's a door being open or closed, a temperature reading, a meter index, a geolocation of an asset. So it's really about all those small things. How do you connect those small things? Oh, I like that Pac-Man effect. So let's go into details about what is really IoT. It's made of 3 things. First thing is devices. So what's really a device? So that's a device. That's a small GPS tracker. So inside, you've got connectivity, and I will go into the details of what kind of connectivity you need. You've got a battery, and you've got different kind of sensors. It could be temperature, it could be a motion sensor, it could be GPS. So we have things. Things are connecting, they need to connect to a network. And in that case, it's Thingstra, the network that we're building, which is the technology called Sigfox. So we're building a nationwide network in Australia, New Zealand as well. And what is exactly a network? What is really a network like Sigfox? What's really interesting about that kind of network? Sigfox is a network really dedicated to connecting things. And what's really interesting about that? It's very long range. You've seen that little device. You can connect 50 kilometers away from a base station. Very, very low costs. When we talk about mobile phones, the cost here is around $2 per year. $2 per year for connecting your thing. Very low power consumption, around 300 times less power consuming than your mobile phone. So if you have that small things, will last around a year. We have devices that could last up to 15 years, in the case of water metering, for instance. Very secure. I mean, we always talk about IoT and security. Of course, it has to be secure. It's a given. National coverage. We're building a nationwide network, so aiming to cover 95% of the population by the end of this year. So 3 or 4 months to go. And of course, we have a network operation center, a strong ecosystem of partners. We have around 300 partners here in Australia, and open standard. I'll go into the details of what it means to be open standard because I think it's very important now in terms of things. So Sigfox, yeah, it's a global network. Started in Europe. You can see my accent. Coming to Australia, that's us. And pretty much going global in the space of 3 years. So Syngstra, we are representing that network with the telco operator for that network in Australia, New Zealand, and Hong Kong at this stage. And we're aiming to grow in Southeast Asia. So I was talking about the network. So you have things, you have network, and the last thing you need is a platform. When I was talking about open standard, you're sending that data to whatever platform you want to use. It could be Microsoft Azure, IBM Bluemix, Salesforce, SAP, you name it. So what is really a platform? It's the tool that allows you to visualize that data or even bring data analytics and being able to automate things. So really bring a lot of intelligence into those things. So you have network, you have devices, you have a platform. So Syngstra, we pretty much, to fast track the market, we have all the pieces of the puzzle pretty much resolved. We can provide the platform, we can provide the devices, and we're building the network. But we also work with partners that can provide bits and pieces of that puzzle. So I'll just look quickly at some examples. So pretty much it's like we were talking, first I remember like 10 years ago when we had the smartphone, what's the point of having a smartphone? Where can you use it in industrial perspective? Pretty much in any configuration, and I'm going to look quickly into all those different market segments. In agriculture, it could be about monitoring your crops. It could be about cattle monitoring. It could be about even monitoring your silo, how much grain I've got from my silo. But geolocate all your... Okay. So smart buildings, about air conditioning, smoke alarm, being able to connect the smoke alarm. So it's really about small things. Cities, we always talk about smart bins, smart parking, street lighting, e-health. But being able to, Alzheimer patients, just give them a watch and you can GPS track them. Something that was difficult to do before because the battery will last only 1 day. Now the battery will last 1 year. Smart living. So yeah, being able to know where your pet is. And that's a pet tracker. That's how big it is. And the battery will last between 1 and 3 years, depending how often you lose your pet. And smart metering, water metering.
We'll cut it short there. We'll jump straight into
I'll
questions.
finish. I won't go too much, but you can see it's pretty much going everywhere. So what we do as a conclusion, so we built 3 nationwide network. We've so far in the space of a year and a half, we have connected 1.8 million devices. We have 50 million devices to connect in the pipeline. 200 ecosystem partners, plus in fact we're 300 now. And we've raised $31 million, 10 million with the Australian government. And now we're 38 team members and 5 board directors. So our vision, we empower the Internet of Things, and really our vision is to be the #1 Asia-Pac IoT provider, or Internet of Things provider. Thank you very much.
Done.
It was hard to fit all that in there.
Cool. Great presentation, obviously, and also something we find absolutely fascinating. We've got an early stage business in the IoT play in the consumer sector, so I find what you're doing fascinating. Because we've got an interest in that area, one of the things that we're looking at very closely is timing for our business. There's been some false starts, and no one has a crystal ball. I was curious. I don't know whether your presentation is still there, but if it was, and we could go back 1 or 2 slides to those stats at the end, which just had your kind of scale and rollout and connected devices. I was curious to know, I assume that there's a high infrastructure cost to what you're doing. Mm-hmm. What data have you got to support demand, to support the underlying business model? Yeah, that's the reason why we managed to raise that much money in such a short term.
is that we work mainly with top 1,000 companies in Australia. And every company we talk to, we start with one project, we just give them one idea, and within an hour they come with 10 more ideas. Oh, I could do this, I could connect this, I could do that. And so a discussion, for instance, with Woolworths, and we say, oh, we could do cold chain monitoring. We could put a small temperature reader in every crate of bananas. And now you're sure that between 10 and 20 degrees, and you can monitor if there was a flow during your transportation from the farms to your warehouse.
Do you achieve that by bringing in your ecosystem partners? Because that sounds like a big job.
Yeah, so that's why we
network.
have all the piece of the puzzle solved internally. So we can, and that's why also we have an Hong Kong office, because we have our own R&D and we do our own devices. So we can do for proof of concept right away within the meeting, showcase a solution with the platform, with a real solution with the platform, showing the device on the platform, an application to the customer. Then when we start talking about, because they need to have installation, if you talk to water utilities, for instance, complex installation. So you need to work with a lot of system integrators that are going to bring a final solution, and that's where we bring them in, but not at the first meetings. The first meeting is about really explaining what it is.
Final question for me from a competitive landscape point of view. This seems like, it's going to be huge, and when you contemplate things that are huge that could erode, the margins of the incumbent players, Telstra's had plenty of its margin eroded in the past by making mistakes and not getting into things fast enough. You don't see a major risk of being gazumped by some of your bigger competitors out there?
So we are the Internet of small things. We monitor very, very simple things, which are very low cost, and that's what we don't see Telstra as a competitor, because they can't compete in that field. However, they see us as complementary to what they provide. So they're coming to the IoT field, but more with a solution which are cheaper than 3G, so complementary to 3G, but they're not going to go as low cost as our solutions. But their solution will be able to send more data, will be able to do more things. We're really playing in very simple things. And so people like Telstra want to own the customer, whatever the way they're going to connect their things. So they will work with us for the bottom piece to make it happen. So we don't have direct competitors as such, more, I would say, partners to complete their ecosystem.
On the Red Queen idea, how are you going to keep up? Well, how are you going to keep ahead? You said you're oversubscribed. How are you going to scale up? How are you going to scale up in time?
So we are. Yeah, it's a big question. I mean, we really, I think, for us, scale up quite a fair bit. And we had our first office 18 months ago. So we didn't have an office up to 18 months ago. We're just 6 people. And now we're 38. So it's scaling up pretty quickly.
Do you have the experience in your team to do it?
That's the reason why we raise so much money. We're 6 co-founders, and all with complementary skill sets. And that's for that reason that the investors really trusted us. We already showed them that even without any network, without any team, any office, we're already able to have over 30 projects in the pipe with nothing. And we show that we're able to build a full nationwide network within 2 years. I mean, it took 10 years for Telstra, and we showed them that at the moment we cover 92% of New Zealand and 70% of Australia. And we'll have the network finished by January.
Fantastic. You're beating them so far, it sounds.
Just a quick question. Sigfox has come to us before.
Okay.
You've got 3 areas really: devices, network, or platform. You're focusing on all 3 at the moment. There's really a lot in that space, in that devices space, and they don't run all on the 920 megahertz. They run on different sort of spectrums, and you're trying to standardise that. I understand. The platform integration is probably one of the biggest keys. What I've seen over the time, there is no platform integration for IoT that actually works properly in that sense. And what I'm interested in is, where's the focus? Is it to build the network, or to build the platform integration, or build the devices?
So our focus is the network. We're a network operator. But if you want to fast track the market, it's a bit like Intel, who just had a driverless car. They're showcasing a driverless car. Their aim is not to become a car manufacturer. The aim is to showcase, hey, the car exists, I can show you. Now let's work with car manufacturers to make it happen on a large scale, global scale. Same thing for us. For us, it's about fast-tracking the market, showcasing that it's not that hard to do a device, it's not that hard to integrate that to any kind of platform. And even we have people like GE, I saw GE in the presentation earlier on, GE predicts, it's the platform of GE, and we show them within 2 hours that their platform was integrated with Sigfox, where for them it was like a 3-month project. So let's come to our office and we'll show you that how easy it is. And so integration to any kind of platform is very easy. Devices is more complex because they have to be relatively small. But we show them that it's possible with integration manufacturers in China that can be not only integrating very, very small, but also very low cost. When I have this kind of device, I mean, we're talking $20 here. So I'm not interested in selling pet trackers, but when you talk to customers like CHEP, with 12 million pallets, that's the kind of project we want to deal with. And so we're not about selling devices as such. We're more about building network, managing the network, and showcasing, evangelizing around it and work with as many partners. And that's why we have 300 partners now, which are either making devices or making intelligence at the platform level.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And lastly, checkbox.
Grab your scorecards, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Evan from Checkbox, a company that is transforming the way we work with regulation. See, regulation is messy, no one really likes it, and in fact, it costs the Australian economy $250 billion a year. Now, it's not that we don't have the expertise to deal with this regulation. We do. The problem is actually the fact that these experts are typically trained accountants. They're trained lawyers that deal with the regulation. They're not necessarily trained technologists, which means that they don't actually have the programming knowledge to codify their expertise. And so they resort to tools that they're comfortable with using, things that are accessible like Word and Excel. Now, these tools are great, but they weren't built for digesting regulation. So let me give you an example of one of our customers. They tried to actually tackle something known as IFRS. Now, IFRS, the International Financial Reporting Standards, in 2018 is being rolled out across Australia. It affects companies globally, small to large. And they try to use Excel to solve this. So this is what they did. They took something that looks like this. This is the regulation in its raw form. And they transformed it into 50 Excel spreadsheets, each of which look like this. There's clauses in each cell, and after you read the cell, it gives you an action, go and read this cell. And then it might take you back to the 50 Excel spreadsheets where you pick another one and you go through this whole process and repeat it until you get to an outcome, right? Super messy. They were doing this with their clients. It is not a great client experience. Now, what they did was they used Checkbox and they transformed this into this. A software in the cloud that guides you through the regulation question by question. By selecting an action, you go down one path of a giant decision tree. We also have tips on the right-hand side, which provide definitions, examples, and links to external resources that help you get through the questions on the left, and comment boxes as well, where you can actually provide comments to justify the decisions that you make along the way. Now, it's not just yes-nos. You can build form elements to capture facts, and also very dynamic tables that actually have calculation capability as well. Now, at the very end, you end up at the transcript. It's our audit trail that tracks all the questions you've been asked, your responses, as well as those comments that you made along the way. You can also produce completely automated documents that populate depending on how the user goes through the journey. And of course, it can be downloaded as a PDF or emailed off. Now, don't get confused. This is not Checkbox itself. This is actually the type of software, an example of software that you can build using Checkbox without any sort of coding. No programming whatsoever. Think of Checkbox as a digital transformation tool that takes regulation, typically in the form of legislation and standards, and allows you to convert them automatically into a ready-to-use software in the cloud, which you can white label. We do this through our studio. It's a drag and drop interface where users can literally drag and drop a block to introduce a new page and reroute the arrows. Now, what this meant for our clients was they could now build software without engaging a developer and react to regulatory change instantly at no additional cost. We've actually successfully been able to build software which typically would have taken months and a team of developers in just a matter of days, and sometimes even hours. Now, what sits behind this is 5 pieces of technology. It allows you to build forms, tables, and automated documents, all held together by a proprietary rules engine. And on top of this, there's data analytics, as well as the ability to deploy software that you build to your customers, so it can become a revenue-generating tool as well. Of course, the future is in AI, and what we've done is we've built Checkbox with the flexibility to integrate AI specifically around natural language processing and machine learning, which we see very soon is going to be the way that we parse legislation straight into the ready-to-use product, eliminating a lot of the manual work that is still associated today. We've had quite a lot of success for an early company. We're working with Big 4 accountancy firms, Big 6 legal firms, and global ratings companies. And whilst we're still pre-revenue, we're actually signing a deal that's in the 6 figures. So there are other software out there, but they're all low code, not low code. The main difference is that you still need to code to develop software, and it still takes a lot of time, which means that they typically don't get done, especially in industries that aren't traditionally technology-driven. Now, Checkbox is built with the user in mind, which means that it doesn't actually require any coding, and anyone can seriously use it to build. So, Checkbox was actually announced RegTech of the Year this year, which was very exciting. But by using Checkbox, you're going to be able to reduce compliance costs through automation, generate new revenue streams, manage your quality risk through best-of-breed standardization, enhance your customer experience by providing high touch points on the digital self-service sphere, as well as retain those top talent, because now you're reshifting employees' focus onto more interesting and challenging work. So Checkbox is actually deploying live in October, so it'd be awesome if this interests you to hit me up afterwards for a demo. I'd be very pleased to do that for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Great presentation, by the way. That's a great pitch. Seriously.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Anne.
And great
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I'm sure it's not the first time you've heard, but that, although it seems a bit unusual to say it given the category, but that's seriously cool.
Thanks. Regulation is cool, I know.
It is now. I want to ask, I was having a look before, and it's a fascinating business. You're combining a whole range of different elements of tech sort of innovation. What business are you most like?
Yeah, so we're essentially an enterprise app builder, loosely speaking, right? Focusing in the vertical of compliance and regulation. So it's kind of like the companies that I was showing before. You know, we have here, Pega, ServiceNow, which allow you to build business applications, but are typically in the workflow space. We're not looking at automating workflow, we're looking at automating regulation flow. It's almost like processes that almost come off rules that are governed by regulation. So it is very similar in kind of we're dealing with workflow, but a very, very, very different kind of sphere that we're playing in. Yeah.
I know this isn't about investment, but do you have an open round at the moment, or?
It's a good question. I mean, so to date, actually, our company has been bootstrapped, which means that as founders, we've funded it ourselves. We've actually been approached by VCs and decided to actually fund it ourselves because we have 100% confidence in our product and we have the ability to. But having said that, we do want to go global. We are actually planning to go global this financial year with interest in New York and Hong Kong already. And with that kind of expansion, obviously comes massive amounts of cost, in which we expect, we're already starting to have those early discussions with investors. So yes, we are open to it, though not, it's not front of mind as of today.
So you've got the no code versus low code there, but
yeah.
what is the other differentiators that you've got with those main competitors, because they're quite well established, obviously.
Yes.
So how do you disrupt them to the point of taking over?
Yeah. So the no-code thing is great, but there's so much more to that. A lot of those software are model-driven. Now, what that means is that you typically have to be either a developer or you have to have a background in systems architect, right? So what that basically means is there are people out there that are called Pega developers, people that have been trained in using these types of software, ServiceNow developers. Checkbox is built so that anyone, specifically actually the business owners, the subject matter experts, now are empowered with a tool which actually, when you think about it, these people are actually under threat by technology. They're trained in a very particular domain. They're not technologists. But all of a sudden, Checkbox is providing them with a tool that without that programming knowledge, they can still produce technology, innovate, basically, in their area. And that's because we're actually behavior-driven, not model-driven. So we're driven by how the user naturally builds software rather than someone who's trained classically in software development.
Yeah. Look, I've got nothing to add. That was actually really impressive. And I see a lot of presentation pictures, and this product is exciting.
Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'd love the opportunity to work with more corporates on developing some of their own startups that we can commercialize, and it'd be great to get some more corporates and maybe some CIOs up here pitching next time. We're going to announce a winner now. If I can invite the presenters up here, and guys, yep. And I'll just lastly give you an opportunity and 20, 30 seconds, just as you've got this audience here of CIOs in the room, what are you asking for?
You can go.
Come have a chat.
Yep. Nice and brief.
Well, as you've seen, I mean, the network can cater for any kind of scenarios, any kind of project. So if you want to talk about IoT, if you don't know where to start because it's confusing, talk to us. We're happy to guide you in the right direction and start some proof of concept.
Cool. First of all, thanks for being here. I know it's been a long day. It'd be great if, like I said, our platform is launching soon, so if you find relevance to your organization or someone else in your organization, we'd love to provide a demo. On the flip side, we'd actually love your advice in terms of integrations into kind of the larger CMSs that you might be working with in your organization. We're starting to look at that as well. So any sort of feedback would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And so the winner for the Shark Tank, Checkbox. Great presentation. Congratulations.